In 2014, a player conquered the hardest server in the world in 3 weeks and walked away with $80,000. Riot Games responded by banning him for 1,000 years. His name was Dopa. He hit rank 1 every season from season 3 to season 10. He could play any role at a challenger 1000 LP level, and he was the only player who could go 50-50 toe-to-toe against Faker in lane. If Faker was the sun, he'd be the moon. But I bet you've never seen him at Worlds. You've never seen him on stage. You've never even seen him leave his bedroom. Because while Faker became the sun, the greatest professional player of all time, Dopa became the moon, the best solo queue player to ever touch the game. This is the story of how a player erased from history became an absolute legend and discovered the truth about winning, and that would change the game forever.
Yes! Drum roll, yeah, there it is! Oh yeah, locked in.
적으로 라인에 오자마자 미니언한테 평타 한 대를 치는데 저는 이 순간에 라인전이 끝났다고 생각을 했어요.
Before we talk about the ban, before we talk about his philosophy, you need to understand just how insanely good Dopa was. Most legendary players have a role. Faker mid, Uzi ADC, the Shy top, but Dopa, he could play anything. And I don't mean he could play other roles at like a decent level, like just go even. When Dopa played jungle, support, ADC, top, it was almost as good as his mid lane. Faker can play any role too, but he usually goes even or maybe gets a small lead. When Dopa swapped roles, he'd absolutely crush his opponents. His understanding of the game holistically was on a completely different level than everyone else. You know what the insane part is? League wasn't even his main game. It wasn't even his main focus. He was actually addicted to PUBG at the time. He was so good at League that maintaining rank 1 was just something he kind of did on the side. Like, think about that. Rank 1. The peak of solo queue. The hardest ladder in the world. And it was his side game. From season 3 to season 10, Dopa achieved something almost nobody else has ever done. Rank 1. Every single season. Not top 10, not top 5. Number 1. Professional teams noticed. Of course they did. Multiple organizations reached out with contracts to prove himself on the biggest stage in esports. Dopa famously declined every single offer. Why? Because he was making more money doing something else. Elo boosting. Taking a silver player's account to diamond, a platinum account to master, he was so efficient at it that he paid off his entire university tuition just from Elo boosting. While most League pros were making modest salaries, Dopa was printing money from his bedroom, climbing accounts faster than anyone else could dream of. But there's also another reason. In South Korea, every male between the ages of 20 and 31 must complete mandatory military service. You can postpone it, but you can't postpone it forever. Going pro meant committing to a team schedule on competitive calendar that would eventually collide with conscription. Boosting and streaming gave him flexibility, freedom. He had control. But in September 2013, Dopa finally agreed to join a competitive team, Team Dark. They're going to participate in the OGN Winter Qualifier, and for the first time, the world was going to see what this mysterious solo queue god could do on a competitive stage. But then, everything fell apart. The story of how Dopa got banned sounds extremely dramatic. To be real, it almost sounds like a movie plot. But it is. A female fan famously purchased Dopa's boosting service. According to Dopa, she had a reputation in the Korean scene as someone who had allegedly tried to get close with multiple pro players and streamers, meeting up with them for, you can figure it out. Her mentality was that she wanted to collect them as sort of trophies. But she also wanted more than a boost. She wanted a romantic relationship with Dopa. But Dopa, he ignored her. So then famously, she went to Invent, Korea's version of Reddit, and made a post absolutely raging about him. Then she did something worse. She contacted Riot Korea directly and told them to investigate Dopa's boosting service, his in-game behavior, as a sort of like revenge. And here's what you need to understand something about playing League in Korea. You can't just make a new account like you can in NA or EU. In Korea, every League account is tied to your social security number and your phone number. It's linked to your legal identity. So Riot Korea investigated, and they didn't just ban him, they completely erased him. Dopa was banned from all Riot sanctioned tournaments for 2 years. His main account, the one he climbed the rank 1 with season after season, received a 1,000 year ban. But more than that, every account tied to his identity was flagged and eventually banned. He could technically still play League in Korea, but every account would have to be borrowed from friends or fans watching him. Every game was illegal, every login was borrowed time. Team Dark tried to compete in the qualifiers without him, a team that Dopa assembled with solo queue friends that were trying to make it big in the pro scene. They got absolutely demolished without him. In fact, they hold the record for the fastest competitive loss in League of Legends history. The team built around Dopa collapsed and caved in without him. But here's where the story gets really interesting. Because Dopa didn't stop playing. He couldn't. He started borrowing accounts from viewers, climbing them to Challenger on stream, and Riot would ban them over and over again. He'd hit Challenger, account ban. New account, hit Challenger, account ban. New account, new account, new account. It became a cycle. A game within a game, Riot trying to erase him, while Dopa trying to prove he couldn't be erased. And here's what made it legendary. Dopa was so efficient at climbing that he outpaced Riot's bans. They couldn't ban his accounts fast enough. By the time they flagged one, he'd already hit rank 1 on another. During his time, his reputation grew darker. He was known for being extremely toxic in solo queue, blaming teammates, ego playing, hard griefing when his teammates didn't play correctly. Players gave him the name Evil Faker, but it wasn't just about his skill which gave him his name, it was about his attitude. He kept postponing his mandatory military service, choosing to keep streaming, keep boosting, keep playing League despite everything. The game had completely consumed him. But between his bans, between his toxicity, between the constant war of Riot Games, something else was happening. Dopa was becoming a legend that the game would engrave his name into. At the end of Season 3, 2 players were racing for rank 1 on the final day of the season. Faker, the world champion, the god of mid lane, the unkillable demon king, the guy who just won worlds that year, was pushing for rank 1. But so was Someday, one of the best top laners in Korea at the time. Dopa was high on the ladder too, so he'd constantly be playing in these really high elo games with both rank 1, rank 2, and rank 3 players, high enough to affect the outcome. And he made a choice that would stick with him forever. He intentionally threw games. Not to grieve for fun, not to troll for fun, but to help Faker secure rank 1 at the end of the season. You might be asking yourself, why would he do this? Why would someone as Dopa throw games? Because Dopa believed a mid laner should be the one to reach rank 1. There was a code. He had a philosophy. But more than that, there was respect for Faker. Because Dopa knew something most people didn't understand yet. Faker just wasn't the best pro player in the world. He was the only player at the time, and in the future, along with an up-and-coming talent named Chovy, who could go 50-50 against Dopa in lane, or might even beat Dopa in lane. When Dopa faced Faker mid, it wasn't a stomp, it wasn't a free win, it was a true mirror match. They were completely equals mirroring each other, the sun and the moon. Dopa would later say that Faker was the best mid laner in the world because Faker famously invented techniques that everyone tried to copy, and that even Dopa copied. The moon learning the sun's techniques, the student respecting the master, even though they've never faced each other on a competitive stage. Then in September 2014, everything changed. There was a contest on the Chinese super server. Whoever could reach rank 1 would win $80,000. Now, to understand how insane this is, you need to know this. The Chinese super server is the hardest server in the world. To play on the server, You need to hit Diamond 2 on any other server just to be able to play, and you might be placed in Bronze or Gold. Diamond 2 on the Tiny Super server is like Challenger on any other server. The competition is completely brutal. Dopa entered the contest. 2 weeks later, he hit Master Rank. 1 week after that, he's sitting at 1300 LP, sitting at Rank 1. He didn't just win the contest, he completely dominated it. $80,000 in 3 weeks. And you see these iconic photos of Dopa right here? The legendary screenshots that became memes? They're from this run. This was the moment Dopa proved he wasn't just the best in Korea, he was the best, period. And then Dopa did something insane. With the prize money in hand, with proof of his dominance, he made Riot Games a public offer that they couldn't refuse. $100,000 to unban his main account. But unfortunately, Riot did refuse his unrefusable offer. So Dopa kept playing. He kept climbing, accounts rank 1, banned. New accounts rank 1, banned. New accounts rank 1, banned. Riot tried to completely erase him, but as some players would put it, Dopa became a ghost. Every account they banned, he'd haunt the ladder of a new one. You couldn't kill what you couldn't catch. It became his identity, the player who couldn't be stopped, the ghost that haunted the Korean solo queue ladder. Eventually, Dopa issued a public apology for his toxic behavior in solo queue. The flaming had to stop, the griefing had to end. But something deeper was happening during all those years. All those seasons of hitting rank 1, all those accounts banned and rebuilt, all those games played correctly while his teammates played incorrectly. Dopa was slowly building a philosophy, a way of understanding League of Legends that went deeper than simple mechanics or a deeper understanding of matchups, deeper than even macro. He was discovering the secret, the truth that most players, even pros, never fully understand about learning. And once you hear it, you'll never look at the game the same way again. Here's what most players don't understand about winning. You lose a game, you look at the scoreboard, you check the replay. You find it the moment it all fell apart. The failed team fight, the bad Baron call, the time you're splitting bot lane and your team got wiped mid. And you tell yourself, I should have been there. I should have grouped. I knew they were going to fight. Dopa would tell you that you're wrong. Let me give you an example Dopa is famous for. The one that separates good players from great players. The one that explains how he hit rank 1 every season. Imagine you're playing Fiora top lane. You're 2 items up, you're strong. You're in the bot lane, in the side lane, pushing towards your tier 2 tower, fixing a slow push. Meanwhile, your 4 teammates are mid lane holding a wave against the enemy's 5 teammates. The correct play is to stay in the side lane. You're creating pressure, you're absorbing solo XP and gold, and you're forcing a man advantage for your team if the enemy sends someone to match you. It'll become a 4v4 mid, and you can then rotate to make it a 5v4. If they don't send anyone, you take the bot tower for free. This is the optimal, correct macro play. This is the highest percentage play. But then your team engages 4v5 without you, and they lose. They lose the fight badly, the enemy takes Baron, and maybe they end the game. And then you feel it. That pit in your stomach, the pressure, the thoughts in your mind of, I should have been there. I should have reset earlier. I should have just dropped the wave and joined mid just in case. I knew they were going to fight. You feel the emotions, the frustration, the regret. Next thing you'll probably group earlier, play safer, babysit your team. Dopa says, you're still wrong. Here's why. And this is crucial. Listen carefully, because this will change how you think about League of Legends forever. Even if your gut feeling told you to go mid, even if you knew your team was going to throw, the correct play was still the side lane. Why? Because League of Legends isn't about one game. It's about 100 games, 1,000 games, 10,000 games. Dopa thinks about League like chess. In chess, if you make a bad move but your opponent doesn't punish you for it, you didn't make a good move. You just got lucky. The move was still bad. A good player would punish you for it. These things will lose you more games than wins in the long run. Just because you dropped the side lane and did a non-optimal play going mid lane, just being lucky, predicting that your team would fight, doesn't mean it was a good move. You only got lucky. In League, if you abandon the most optimal, highest percentage correct play to babysit your team, and your team happens to win the fight, You didn't make the correct decision. You just got lucky. You made a low percentage play that happened to work out this one singular instant. Over 100 games, staying side lane and making the enemy bleed waves while building an advantage is the play that wins 65 out of 100 games. Resetting the group mid just in case your team might win you 45 out of 100 games. But you only remember the games where you stayed side and your team lost. You don't remember the 50 times you stayed side, your team didn't fight, and you slowly choked the enemy out with superior macro and got a free win. This is called selective memory, and it's killing your climb. You start making decisions based off emotions, based on fear, based on that one time you split and your team ran it down. Now you're not playing League of Legends, you're playing babysitter. You're playing reactive instead of proactive. Dopa would sometimes end games 0-0-0. 0 kills, 0 deaths, 0 assists. His teammates would flame him in the chat saying he had no game impact. The post lobby would be brutal. Report Dopa, X9 Dopa, AFK farming. But Dopa didn't fight. Not a single fight was worth taking. Every team fight his teammates took was incorrect, low percentage, coin flip, so he never took them. And yes, he lost those games. But over the course of a season, that discipline, that refusal to coin flip, that instance of only taking high percentage plays, that's why he hit rank 1 every single time, from season 3 to season 10. Dopa's secrets isn't his mechanics, it's not his matchup knowledge, it's not his champion pool, it's honestly not even his macro. Really, it's this. Results don't matter, it's all about his process. Did you make that decision that had the highest probability of winning? That's all that matters. Not whether you won or lost that specific game. Not whether your teammates ran it down. Not whether the enemy jungler camped you. Not whether your team fought without you. Did you make the highest percentage play based on the information available to you? If yes, you played correctly. And if you played correctly, you run it back. You do it again. Next game, you do it again. The game after that. You should consider that a win in your books. Win or loss, LP doesn't matter. Because over 100 games, over 1,000 games, the math will work out for you in your favor. The correct plays win more than they lose. The high percentage decisions climb. The emotional decisions stay hard stuck at a 50% win rate. This is why you're stuck. Not because you're bad mechanically. Not because you don't know the matchups. Not because you're making decisions based off results instead of process. You got punished for making the correct play, so you stopped making the correct play. You got rewarded for making the incorrect play, so you keep making the incorrect play. And your rank stays exactly where it stays. This is how Dopa hit rank 1 on the Korean server every season for nearly a decade. This is how we conquered the Chinese super server in 3 weeks. This is how we could take a fresh account to Challenger before Riot banned it and do it again and again and again, faster than they could delete his accounts. Not because he had perfect mechanics, not because he never made mistakes, not because he never lost games, but because he understood that League is a game of probabilities and that the player who consistently makes high percentage plays, who sticks to his correct process even when the results betray them, they will always rise to the top. Even when Riot banned him for 1,000 years, they couldn't ban his philosophy. They couldn't delete his approach to the game. They couldn't erase the truth he'd discovered. And that philosophy is still being taught today. Players who never watched Dopa stream, who never saw him play, are learning his principles through coaches, through guides, through other players who learn from him. Faker is the son, the greatest professional player to ever touch the game. 6 world championships, more trophies than anyone. He's the GOAT of competitive League of Legends. But Dopa is the moon. The greatest solo queue player to ever touch the game. And while the moon never got to shine on stage, it still shines just as bright in the darkness. Some nights when you're grinding solo queue, when you're frustrated because your team threw another winnable game, when you're wondering why your heart sucked, remember the player who sat in the same chair with his shitty tape on it, playing the same correct plays over and over again, season after season, account after account, ban after ban. And ask yourself, am I playing, to win this game, or am I playing correctly? Because if you play correctly, the wins will come. Dopa never won Worlds. He never lifted a trophy. He never got his moment on stage against Faker. He never got to prove that the moon could eclipse the sun. Riot completely erased him from competitive history. They banned him for over 1,000 years. They tried to delete him from every possible outlet, but they couldn't erase what he taught us. On August 26, 2023, Dopa posted a video on his official YouTube channel. After years of postponing it, he was finally going to fulfill his mandatory military service. He said he'd be absent from League for a long time. He said it wouldn't be forever, but not to expect to hear from him for a while. And just like how Riot kept banning his accounts, he would eventually reappear. The ghost would always come back. That winning isn't about one game, it's about 1,000 games. That the correct play is whether you win or lose. That your team fighting without you doesn't mean you should have been there. It means they fought incorrectly. That results don't matter, your process matters. The uncrowned king that never wore a crown. But his philosophy, that's his real legacy. And one day when his service is complete, the moon will rise again. Next time you queue up, try this. Before each decision, ask yourself, what's the highest percentage play right now? What gives me the best odds? When you lose the game, when you do the right thing, review your process, not the outcome. Track your decision quality over 20 games, not your win rate. Play like Dopa. Play correctly. The wins will follow. Thank you.